Welcome to Apex Esports League. I'm JT, and tonight I'm bringing you round 2 of the Apex Esports League V8 Supercars Championship. That's on Project Cars 2 for the PS4. So we'll be heading over to Italy for Monza GP with the Supercars tonight. So it's going to be a very exciting night heading out with the V8s around the tricky track that is Monza. So turn 1 will be quite interesting coming in with the V8s. So heading over into our usual race setup. So we've got 2 races, so we'll head off into session 1. We have a 15-minute practice where weather is medium cloud, then we have a 15-minute qualifying, weather is light cloud, then we have the sprint race, which is 11 laps, weather is medium cloud with no mandatory pit, then we'll have about a 9-minute break and then head into session 2 where we will have 15 minutes qualifying, then the main race, which is worth the bigger points, and that's 21 laps. Weather is medium cloud to light cloud progression, and there is a mandatory pit. So we have results from last week. So the standings after the first round, we have Rooney 9915 leading the championship. So he is only just 24 points ahead of Sami, and Azura is not too far behind as well. So in the sprint race last week, we had Sami qualify second and take victory. We saw Wira have a very quick lap, taking the fastest lap bonus points. And in the main race, we saw Azura take the win after qualifying 5th, after seeing Wira Dejuri actually stay out in the lead for the race and then being disconnected 2 laps from the finish. So very disappointing for him. And then, of course, it is Italy for Monza. The track length is 5.79 kilometres. There are 11 turns. Game session time is starting at 9 AM. So track temperatures will be a little bit cool as we first head out into the practice session, especially in these powerhouses that the V8s are. It will be quite loose in the rear. So if you're joining us for the stream, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that follow button. We are live on Thursday nights with Project Cars 2, and then we have just started our Monday night streams at the same time with iRacing, and that's with the Logitech G Supercars series. And then we are nearly growing to 100 followers, so I think we're at 97 followers now. So it'll be very exciting if we can see 100 followers by the end of tonight. So be sure to support Apex Esports League and hit that heart and follow the channel. And don't be afraid to make yourself known in the chat. I can see all the chat. So we've just had Meme Clipper saying hi. And we have Oslo saying come on Philly. And also Nightmare as well. So a couple of fans cheering on for Philly. Ooh, a little bit slippery coming into the chicanes. As I was mentioning, it is quite cool track temperatures. The season is set to spring. Ooh, a big slide. That's a hard hit into the wall. He's going to continue on. What he may decide to actually bring that car in. And also with the stream, if you have a look down below, I'm not sure if it's always there for mobile version, but definitely for web version. There is a bunch of sound effects controls. You can cheer, applaud, boo, have some fun with some sound effects as different events happen throughout the session tonight. And of course you can then applaud on your favourite driver. But almost full grid. You can have a reserve jump in, so we've had Kakadu join the session. We didn't get to race last week, so I'm missing DK, Rush and Steph. But we're still having 15 cars on the grid, which is good. All misjudges that first corner. Our championship leader, Rooney 9915, is still in the pits at the moment. Pretzel Nader, who I think debuted with us in our Toyota 86 series. And he's doing pretty well. After last week, he's tied 4th with Corby 387, so both of them sitting on 134 points. Corby's also in the pits at the moment. First time's coming through on the board. 30 Monkey 699 comes through with a 155.815. Yes, and we're actually missing Wira. He hasn't joined the session yet. He's been sent out an invite. Hopefully he can get on and join the session in time. I'll have a quick look and see if he's actually even online currently, so we can see if we can expect Wira to jump on. But he's not currently online. We may see him join the session later on. And DK's in the stream. Hey DK. So Kaka's looking fairly well beaten up at the moment. Struggling with the car early on in the practice session. And he's experiencing a little bit of lag, so it could also be lag. He is having some internet problems, so he is actually having to hotspots. Yes, we're seeing him go off track at the moment. However, he clearly hasn't, as he just skates all the way back onto track. So we may expect to see Kaka drop out. He did say that if he starts to lag too much for the other drivers, just to let him know, and he will drop out of the session so that he doesn't cause an incident. So Zero's come through with his first time, a 1:45.506. Good, 1 second quicker than most times coming through for the first times. Kaka Dog doing well with a 1:46.4. D-Train also in the 1:46s. D-Train's currently coming 9th in the championship. He's got 94 points, but he's only 1 point behind Simo Simzel. So it is fairly tight for points throughout the championship. It was a very exciting race last week. All drivers performed very well at Road America. We did see some spectacular crashes as well. We did see Killer and Azuro have quite a big hit. Azuro was parked up on the side of the track on the back straight. Ooh, a little bit of lag going on for Doggy Daddy as well. Not sure if that's showing on the stream. It's on that same section of track as we saw Kakadu. The Doggy Daddy's been with us for a little while. I'm not sure if he's been on a streamed race yet. Sami is second in the championship. He's come very close to some championship wins throughout his time with Apex Esports League. He gets closer and closer every championship series. And then we did see him get off to a great start in round 1 last week. Seeing him take the top of the podium in the sprint race. Then he did have a spin early on in the main race, but he did recover actually up to, he qualified second, then he moved his way back up into 4th position. So if he didn't have that spill early on, could have quite possibly seen him actually take a victory in the main race, and it would have been a very good start to the championship, as the championship points are worth double that in the main race compared to the sprint race. Ensuring you last out for the longer race is where you get the big points. Oh, gets up on that curb and slides out. That corner is a very tricky one. We did just lose someone, so Kakadu has disconnected. We'll jump on board. Oh, we've just had a 0, so he did just set the fastest lap before beating his previous best with a 1:44. Which he then beat again, doing a 1:43.392. And then we've had Coco Dog and Philly both come through with 1:44s as well at some pretty tight times. Psycho Dog is really nailing Monza. Let's see if we can get on board for a lap with someone in a moment. So we got these here. We have Trex. He's been with Apex eSports League for a while. He missed out on the sprint race last week and then made it in as a reserve for the main race. Hopefully Doggy Daddy not having too many internet issues. Doesn't seem to be doing any more skipping. Him not being able to make last week's round. We'll be looking to get some good points in to be able to start getting ahead on the championship. Well, I think that is a little bit of lag still going on for him. Did notice in the lobby beforehand we had a fair few that were showing as slower connections. The drivers will need to play cautious, as once the drivers are racing pretty close, when there is a little bit of a lag gap, when they are sitting right on the tail of another car, that could potentially mean they have already made contact. We did see that occur, I think it was at Snetterton in the Toyota 86s, where we saw Philly get right up behind Pretzel's car, and then it was like he hit a brick wall, and at a couple hundred kilometers an hour the car just stopped in its tracks. So the game registered that they'd actually made contact. So Rooney late to the party with getting a time on the board, but then that comes through with a blistering 1:43.752. Well, and Sami's just bumped up ahead of him as well. And our championship leader is only just marginally sticking ahead. He's got Sami and Azuro nipping at his heels for the championship. Corby's not too far behind as well. So Corby's sitting on 134 points. Azuro's got 170 and Sami 176, with our champ leader only on 200 points. When you join us for the stream, you'll notice down below we do have our social media links. You can check out our Facebook page to stay up to date with all our results, standings and incident reports. Well, Kakadu has rejoined the session. He's giving it another go. Into the tricky turn one. And those curbs are very slippery, especially in these V8s, as you do have to use every bit of that track and go out on the curb. So very sensitive throttle control as you power out of that chicane. Down to the second chicanes. Thanks for joining us. Oh, Corby has just gotten it nearly up on the two wheels. Gallen's just had a big spin as well. He's just had his lap time invalidated. So we were joking with the drivers in the lobby beforehand that we tend to jinx a lot of drivers when we jump on board with them and they tend to have an accident. I don't know if Corby's going to decide to bring this car in. Hopefully he stays out for this lap as we go around. Going down along the first back straight. Ooh, big spin up ahead. I think that's Doggy Daddy, or it may even be Azuro. Ooh, Sami's just come through for the fastest lap as well. He's broken into the 142s. And Corby's still looking to try and get some heat in these tyres, so he's probably going to end up into a spin here. It's quite sharp cornering at 240 k's an hour. And we have a nice lap around Monza. Thanks to Corby. I just heard a car flying up along there. think that was Dirty Monkey. Oh, and he hits that curb again and spins her out. Kakadoo's rejoined the session. Cool, and that curb, finding another driver up. Oh, you can see off in the background as well, but I think that's a little bit of lag. I'm pretty sure that was Corby. You see him get up on two wheels. These cars are quite easy to lift when you're hitting hard curbs. Oh, big slide by Rooney. He's going to put that into the wall. Oh, and he's clipped down. In my screen, he actually just vanished off down below the track. He fell through the ground. We're seeing some very tight times. Sami doing a 1:42.2. We've got 30 seconds left of practice. They've parked up the car for the remainder of this session now. Coco Dog 1.7 seconds off Sami's time. Seeing some very tight times. The train also is in the 144s. He's joined by Philly and Pretzelnator. Now we have practice complete. Noticing a few little lag skips on approach into that corner by Philly as well. Could potentially see some racing incidents occur. Botching that up a bit, looking to do a burnout I think across the line. Get that into a smoke show for us. Yeah, he's locked that front wheel. I think most of the smoke is actually just from dragging the front wheels, but that was a good attempt. Ooh, and Simo having some troubles with that car. Might as well use what's left of those tyres. Dirty Monkey's 3.8 seconds off the quickest time. He's taken a pretty good hit at the front. Driver's got 60 seconds to wrap up the final lap. Like Trex is on a pretty good run. We can just see Dirty Monkey in the background there. A nice slide through the corner. A lot of speed carrying down into the last corner. Very nice line. I can't actually see what speed he's doing on this. It's 245 k's. And puts it into a slide across the line. And there we have practice session complete. So we've seen Sami come through with the quickest lap, only driver to get into the 1:42 mark. So very tight. It'll be interesting to see how they go as we head into the qualifying session. Drivers now have 15 minutes to get their qualifying time on the board. So the game session time has now progressed through to 10 AM. And cloud cover has eased off. It's going to be a little bit warmer out there. MO and a 0. First to scramble out of the track. Don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that follow button, see if we can get ourselves at 100 followers by the end of tonight. We don't just have Project Cars 2, also on iRacing, so we'll be covering that on Monday night. We'll have round 2 of the Logitech G Supercars Championship. So plenty of V8 supercar action going on at the moment. drivers for our Project Cars 2 Championship are competing for an Apex Esports League stubby cooler. And our drivers in our iRacing Championship, that series has actually been sponsored by Logitech G Australia New Zealand, and they are providing a Logitech G502 Lightspeed gaming mouse, so be sure to stay tuned and check out that series. And if you want to get involved in any of our racing as well, you can contact us in Twitch or check out our social media link, and there's details there on how to join. We also have the Apex Esports League Android app that you can jump onto, and it will have all our event details. We'll check out someone we didn't see too much coverage in the practice. It's a Gallon 350. He's a multiple series winner as well. After round one, is coming 11th with 87 points. Coco Dog's 3 points ahead of him. And 7 points ahead is D-Train. And the time that we saw Coco Dog put down in the practice session, it's quite possibly he's going to be having a pretty strong result tonight, as long as he stays out of any trouble's way. Billy comes through first time on the board. 151. A few times now starting to come through. Drivers being on for a pretty good hot lap at the moment. This track's just in the back there, looking to get a little bit extra temp into them tyres. Looks like there's a few. I'm trying to know, does the livery look like there's a few scrapes on the car? Tend to see a bit of visual damage occurring to the cars as they first peel out. There's usually a little bit of lag going on as they first head out of the pits, and the game will register that they've made contact with the wall where they actually haven't. The Zero comes through straight up with a 144. And Philly's just come through with a 144. He seems to be on fire at the moment. Might jump on board for a lap with Philly. A little bit offline coming through the second corner. And if he gets, it's to be very cautious of this corner. There is quite a fair bit of camber to that track, and that curve is quite steep. If you get right down in there and nick it, you will actually put the car out into a spin. Ooh, looked like he was going off track, but it was just a little bit of lag that we're experiencing. Oh, hit that curb, got it up on the two wheels. Oh, and we've jinxed it. As I was saying before, every time we jump on board with someone, we jinx them. As you can see, that damage showing to Philly's car, but he is actually in a fresh car. Sami going for a bit of a repeat of the practice session, coming in with a 143. Can he break a 142? Oh no, we've just had a Zero just sneak in. 143.082. Gallon putting down some pretty good times as well. For 144.078, he's only 0.997 off of Zero's pole setting time. He's got a pretty good run on from the last corner. This could be a pretty good lap. It's not an improvement. It's pretty consistent though, so that lap was a 1:44.640, and his best qualifying lap's a 1:44.078. That is pretty close. Dirty Monkey also doing pretty well with a 1:46. Oh, that was very quick. He just brings that car in. Looked like there was going to be a fair bit of understeer coming in, but the car snapped out and it really bogged down into that corner. Almost looked like it was going to spring out onto two wheels. And Rooney's just come through with a 1:43.606 and then brought the car into the pits. There's just over 7.5 minutes remaining of qualifying, so there'll be enough time for him to come through and get another lap out there and see if he can steal away pole. He's already back out there, so he's probably running quite low fuel loads. Probably run a couple of laps and then bring it in and head out for a couple of laps. See, he's carrying a fair bit of fuel. He may have actually binned it after setting that lap, so there's a fair bit of scrapage going on with the side and the rear of the car. But Zero's come through for 1:42.752. We did see Sami set at 1:42. Ooh, and Mick Cliff, he was just 22 seconds out from pole time. He's just jumped into 6 seconds away. So far there's only 8.9 seconds separating 15 cars. It's pretty tight. Doggy Daddy in with a 1:51. That's Trex just sitting in behind him. Trex ran a little bit wide on that corner. I think it'll still count for him. And if Doggy Daddy improves that time, he's got a 1:51 to beat. Doesn't beat it. Same as Trex behind him. The run on from behind Doggy, that didn't help him. Not sure if D-Train was just taking it easy down there. Didn't sound like he was going flat stick down that straight. Sami did just sneak in, taking the second spot away from Rooney. Coming in from 1:43.281 for Sami. He's got a little bit to go to break into a 1:42. I'm sure he's got it in him. He did do it in the practice session. Track conditions should be a lot nicer for him to get that time. Philly's car still showing that visual damage from before. Wide going out. You can see a fair bit of tyre debris just on the entrance to that corner. The drivers, that's where we have seen a fair few get up on the two wheels and get a lot of slide out. So it's going to be deteriorating their tyres a fair bit through that corner. The drivers will probably be looking at a bit of a mix of compound for tyres. Oh no, T-Rex has copped himself a grid place penalty. He's just scored himself a 1 grid place penalty. The speeding in pits has cost him. T-Rex currently holding 11th position and he's got a 1:46.4. Sitting in 11th position and only be a few seconds separated. It's just showing just how tight these drivers are in skill level. The racing is becoming more and more competitive every series. Seen some great skills develop throughout the course of Apex Esports League. Sami cost him here. That's probably gonna. I think that's pretty sure that's the last corner. That's just cost him the next lap as well. He's going to have to be quick to get around here as this lap's going to be invalidated. I think that's D-Train and Doggy Daddy tucking him behind him. Be interesting seeing him come up into turn one. Just seen someone blink there. I'm not sure if they've just brought the car into the pits. Only one driver to get a 142. Waiting to see Sami get that 142. He's only going to have the next lap following this lap to do it, if he is going to get that time again. D-Train is doing pretty well for 143.9 in 4th position. And that wasn't Simo. It took a little bit to catch up to where he was on track. Yes, not a bit surprised for T-Rex. May not be a favourite of his. He was mentioning that he'd be happy to step down if he needed to open up a spot for a driver, so it may not be a confident track for him potentially. He's going to need to dig in for a pretty good time to try and move up there to take that grid place penalty away from him. The current standings, that'll see him start from 12th position. Kakadu off track, or is he? We're not sure. Definitely, as you can just see as he was bringing that car back on track, just how much of a gap there is between the curb and the track. It is a gutter, and that turns into a river when it's wet conditions as well. So you do have to take a much wider line around that bend. And it's been a while, I think, since we did a wet race at Monza. Oh, you can just see, I think that may have been a 0. At the back there, he got that up on the 2 wheels. They've been quite kind of the drivers, haven't been throwing wet conditions at them. Just had someone off track there. I'm not sure if that's not Simo. I think that may be Gallen. That's Gallen that's just gone off. Oh, we've just had, I think that was Simo then though. In the background, that's a big flip. So he got that up onto 2 wheels. It's going to be his session done for. He's probably just going to smoke those tyres up for the remaining 15 seconds of qualifying. And 0 still in with the pole time, a 1:42.752. That's qualifying complete. 126 seconds to get final laps done. It's not going to be a good time for a 0 this one. He doesn't improve his time. Gallen's going to put on some pre-race entertainment. He's just going to have to be careful that he doesn't spin out into the pits there and cop himself a penalty, because we've just had Pretzelnator right at the end cop a grid place penalty as well. He's going to do a burnout into the pits. Can't quite see him, he's actually behind the standings board. T-Rex having some fun across the line. Timo's probably doing some similar antics as well. His car looking in some pretty bad shape. Looking to go for a little bit of weight reduction pre-race. Colby looking to wrap up a lap He's got a bit of Simo's debris up ahead as well. Don't know if Gallen's still doing burnouts. He is. He's still doing burnouts in the pits for us. It sounds like someone else has joined him as well. I think Simo's in there. Oh, these guys are crazy. And then Corby wraps up his final qualifying lap. All drivers get across the line. Actually, it's just waiting for Gallen and Simo to actually be able to cross the line. So they got 20 seconds worth of burnouts to do for us. Once they do cross that line, the game will cut it out. Yeah, as normal, we do have our usual suspects up the front. Here's our championship front runners at the moment. They're going to be fighting pretty hard for a spot at the front and take the top of the podium. So we have a 0:143 taking the pole time, followed by Sami, Rooney, D-Train, Gallen, Coca Dog, Philly, Corby, Mickliffe, Dirty Monkey, Pretzelnator, and Dirty Monkey both have a Pretzelnator and T-Rex, if I can line up my eyes correctly. So both copping a 1 grid place penalty, so they bump down 1. So I'm pretty sure Kakadu moves up into 10th position. Actually, I think he'll be into 12th position. And then we have Simo in 14th and Doggy Daddy 420 in 15th position. Some pretty tight times. A fair bit in the sectors is very tight in sector 3. So a fair bit of movement in sector 2 and a little bit of movement in sector 1. So definitely the chicanes proving to be where a lot of drivers will find that extra time to get over into the sprint race. Drivers got a couple of minutes just to get their setups ready for the race. Cloud cover has increased again, so it has progressed to medium cloud cover. Game session time is 11 AM. Track temps probably pretty similar to qualifying. Game progression is set to 2 times. That's usually about 20 minutes for the sprint race, so that means it'll simulate 40 minutes worth of time during the course of the race. So track temperatures will start to improve as the race goes on. Where are you? Join us for the stream, mate. Missing you out on track, same as GK. Good to see all you guys just jumping on to watch the boys race still. Once all drivers have hit ready, it'll start to get the lights ready to count down. If drivers don't hit that ready button in time, we'll actually see them be DQ'd and sent to the pits. I think we saw that happen to Coco Dog in the main race last week. Sorry, no, not, may have been the week before. A driver had actually jumped out pre-race to get a drink and missed the start. Here we go, lights about to go green. You can see a 0 nudging forward. Sami gets off to a very good start. We did see him nudge forward in the races last week. He was playing a little bit more cautious, but a very nice launch. Fair bit of scrambling going on. There's a few cars free wide down the back. They're all tucking in to try and get too wide. That's even still too much of a, too wide to come into the first corners. Getting tongue-tied into the start of the race. Sami blistering quick. He's getting a good lead. Ooh, a little bit of a lag skip going on. All drivers seem to have made the start. A little bit of a battle going on down the back. Coco Dog is battling it out with Mickliffe. Kakadu's just dropped back several positions. Not sure if he's gone for a spin. Doggy Daddy's just had a bit of an issue in the back corner there as well. I think there was a little bit of incident going on between Coco Dog. Not sure if some rubbing was going on or if it may have been a few lag skips. Look at Sami, he's actually really pulling away. He's almost got a 1 second lead and he's only half a lap in. Beautiful line through the last chicanes. Ooh, big spin at the back. That may have been Gallen. Comes back out in track. Narrowly avoids Corby. You can see Coco Dog just darting up along the inside, getting along Mick looking to take on Philly Manili, but Philly holds that line, but he's on the outside. Oh, big spin, that was Corby. I think there was some touch. He reverses that car out just in time. That could have gone much worse for Corby. Managed to escape that pretty well. We have D-Train and Rooney dropping behind pretty quickly. We've got Azuro and Sami really flying ahead. We're only on lap 2. Sami's got 1 second on top of Azuro. And there's another 1.7 seconds between Azuro and D-Train. Just try and see some lines that Sami's getting. He's doing some very golden laps. A little bit of lag going on. This is where we saw the drivers really slide and get up onto 2 wheels. You can see Sami a lot quicker through there than what Azuro is. And again on the next corner, you can just see him pulling away every corner. And to the next, if you can get a very nice line through here, you can go just about flat stick. Azuro quite cautious. Caught up a little bit of ground through there, but Sami did pull away a lot quicker. Sami running a few litres heavier than Azuro. And I think we may have lost someone. Someone may have had to retire out, not sure who that is. I think it's Corby. So he may have had another incident, or he may have entered into the pits speeding, and that will DQ them out of the race as well. Sami now leading by 2 seconds. This is going to be a good opportunity to take a championship lead heading into the main race. D-Train lost out of position to Rooney. But he's quickly covering up that ground to have another go to get back around. From lap 3 of 11. Sami has really disappeared. He's now leading the race by 3.2 seconds and still climbing. He is going flat out. He could potentially be looking at fastest lap bonus points as well. That will be very favourable. Pretzelnators has copped himself a time second penalty to be applied post-race. Oh, thanks Nightmare. So we've reached our 100 goals. We're now at 102 followers. We're seeing a lot of names come up in the chat. It's great to see us all. Thanks for supporting Apex Esports League and to be here to support our fantastic drivers of our league. Oh, Simo almost misjudges that corner, nearly gets up onto 2 wheels. I'm not sure if he's closing that gap in on Gallen at the moment. I think Gallen is starting to peel away just a little bit. The Doggy Daddy, we saw him fall back pretty quick on lap 1. Looked like he misjudged one of the, I think it was turn 3. Pretzelnators copped himself a time second penalty that'll be applied post-race. At this stage, it's probably not going to cost him any positions. Cliff is closing in on Dirty Monkey. And then he's not too far to go to then have a go at Coco Dog as well. You can see Dirty Monkey looking to get a line around Coco Dog. He's gauging him. Just testing how defensive he may be. Ooh, a little bit of lag going on as well. I can see them changing positions pretty rapidly. Doesn't always show on the console that I'm running this broadcast screen from. On my screen I usually do notice it. And Sami's now nearly pushed this race lead out to 4 seconds. Oh, he misjudges that. Pulls it back out on track. I don't think it was a misjudge. It may have actually been a lag skip. That's allowed Mick Cliff to almost get a position around. Ooh, Rooney's just been hit with a time-second penalty as well. He's got a fair bit of a gap between him and Azuro. He's got about 3 seconds from there. Look at D-Train getting in a massive slipstream. He's going to go for an outside pass coming into turn 1. It's going to be risky. He's going to have to give that position up. It took a fair bit to pull that car up. He almost goes for a grind along that curb. Ooh, that's just thrown D-Train off. That was Doggy Daddy's car. Or is it Azuro's car? That's Azuro. I think he's disconnected. Yes, Azuro disconnected. So we just saw him drop down the position board. So there was a car, I'm not sure if you saw it on the stream, but Azuro's car was actually just parked at the exit of the chicanes from turn 1. And D-Train 40 was a stationary car and went to turn around him, nearly spinning out and doing so, but he did actually just go straight through. As I was mentioning before, in practice and qualifying pre-lobby, there was a fair bit of lag issues showing up on all the drivers' names. So we now have Rooney leading the race. Disconnect by Azuro is going to be very advantageous to Sami as well for the championship lead. And also for Rooney. As Azuro's got 170 points. And was a strong contender to be able to potentially take the championship lead tonight. With Sami on 176 points and Rooney on 200. That's going to give them a good jump ahead in points heading into the next race. However, it isn't as many points for the sprint race as it is for the main race tonight. But still a strong finish by Azuro if he can get back on. We'll keep him up to date with points in the main race. Gallon 350 and Simo looking to battle it out for position 9. The driver we haven't seen much of is Philly. He's been keeping pretty quiet in position 4. He's got a few seconds before he catches up to D-Train. He could definitely do that. There's only 5 laps to go. His last lap set was a 144.8 and D-Train's was a 147. So when he's only trailing by 3 seconds in the gap, if he does another lap with both of them setting that same time, he'll be on the tail of D-Train in 1 lap. And he's got a pretty nice gap between him and Coco Dog. Coco Dog's a couple of seconds away from him. So he'll be able to not feel too much pressure and just focus ahead. Oh, and he's definitely catching up to D-Train now. D-Train's had a bit of a mistake that's cost him a lot of time. And not too good of a run in there. I don't know if he may have taken a bit of damage and if he's struggling with the car at the moment. So Philly now looking to be able to catch up to D-Train. very late braking come down here. Can he follow through? Oh, a little bit of misjudge into turn. Oh, spins out. And then it is the curse of the commentator jumping on board with our drivers. It has been happening. If you joined us for our stream on Monday night with iRacing, we did the exact same thing with Stephen Banks. As soon as we were on board with him, he went out for a spin. So we actually jinxed him. And it does happen quite often, which I've noticed throughout many of our broadcasts. We might just have to stay trackside and not put any curses on our drivers for a while. And Paul Philly has dropped down into 6th position. It was unfortunate as he was really closing in, but he was having a fair bit of aero washed out coming on with that slipstream, plus with the much later brake coming into turn 1. Just saw that car a little bit too quick and a little bit flighty coming through. I think he experienced a fair bit of body roll coming out of the first corner. Gallen, who doesn't have Simo, is sitting on his tail now. He's got 7 seconds before Terex behind him. So we'll make our way down through the grid. We've got Pretzel Nader sitting in behind Terex. He's looking to get around. I think Terex may be abiding by a slowdown given that. He seemed to have really moved offline and backed off. But over to our race leader, Sami, is getting the jump at the start. Flying ahead of Azuro, getting clear of any traffic congestion heading into turn 1 chicanes, and then just putting on that distance throughout every lap. I think he was up to nearly 2 seconds by lap 2. Better be leading the race now. Lap 8 with 12.5 second lead. He's done a brilliant drive. Oh, that was very dangerous for Rooney. That's up on 2 wheels. He could not pull that car up 2 wheels into the kitty litter. That car was not going to stop. There's going to be some significant steering issues going on for his car. That was a pretty hard hit to that suspension in the front. You can see the car wanting to steer off to the right. He's now got Philly and Mick Cliff looking to get around, and he's got a wounded car. He's a bit of a liability for them to get around. And Rooney's not giving up that position too easily. He does just move out of the way now. That's pretty lucky for Philly, so he's been able to move back up into 4th position after going for that spin. I think Mick Cliff will definitely get around Rooney. I don't think he'll go into the pits unless he's really struggling with that car. No, he chooses to stay out. He's probably only going to lose a few positions, most likely, over the course of a few laps. We're heading in for a repair now. We'll definitely see him cost him the race. Coco Dog having to correct a little bit of oversteer on corner exit. I think Philly was just doing similar as well. I think there might be a bit of debris out on track there. That's where we saw a lot of cars get quite slippery out on the tail in the practice and qualifying. A lot of drivers running off track and coming back on and spreading a bit of debris on track. Oh, Rooney again just had another big hit. He's going to be frustrated now. So that is the risk that you run when you're already out there with a wounded car. That's possibly going to continue to get worse. Just want to hope that he doesn't cause incident with another driver. That could be a penalisable situation. little bit slippery for Sami. That's where we saw Philly spin out when we were on board with him before. And it is the trickiest corner of the track. As soon as you mention Monza to most drivers, all they do is just shudder thinking of turn one. Otherwise, the rest of the track's pretty good. But if you can nail the first corners, then you have a huge advantage over most drivers, and we've seen that with Sami with just about every corner in the race. He's on lap 10. He's got an 18-second lead. It's even a little bit of a mistake's not going to cost him too much as long as he doesn't end up bidding it into a wall and taking significant damage. He can play cautious, and he's catching up to Rooney as well. And another spin for Rooney, so he's struggling with this car. This is where we could potentially see him cause incident. That car's going to be struggling for Rooney. Not good. He did have the championship lead. This is going to be a big advantage to Sami now. If we disconnect from Azuro. And then Rooney damaged and falling down towards the back of the field. He's in 11th position now. Fell from 2nd to 11th. Comes to jump on board with Sami for a victory lap. It's 1.2 seconds off his best time. He does not need to push this thing, and it would be a huge risk. He probably wouldn't even want to pass a back marker. He could just tuck in behind them, give a safe gap. There's a fair bit of chatter going on in the game's lobby. It doesn't come up on the broadcast screen, I think, for chat. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. Because I wouldn't think of that when May Jinx Sami jumping on for the victory lap. I think he's got this. I don't even think the Jinx would be able to hurt him. He's done it. Well done, Sami. This will be the lead for the championship. If he can follow through with another strong result in race 2 tonight. As long as he doesn't pull up too quick there. He has actually lost a race before by pulling up just in front of the finish line, thinking he had a lot more time, and then actually did lose a position. I think that was going to be his first win, which he missed out on by that. But he had lots of time for it today. The D-Train takes second. Coco Dog also on the podium. Congratulations. Philly, a good comeback after having that spin out. Climbs back up into 4th position. Mick Cliff in 5th. A good result for Mick. Flash to the lights by Dirty as he crosses over in 6th position. He's got a time-second penalty, but I don't think it's that hefty. It'll cost him a position to Gallen. I think Gallen's wearing one as well. Gallen in 7th. I think he'll lose a spot to Kakadu potentially. No, he doesn't. Pretzel in 10th. We have Simo up in 11th. He's got a time-second penalty. So does Rooney. Rooney doing pretty well with how damaged that car is. I think we may see all drivers cross the line. Simo in 11th, Rooney in 12th. DG, ooh, that's lags going on there. So Dougie will have time to wrap up. the game determines that the cars are too far away to be able to complete the lap, it will actually just end the session. The Trex's car just up ahead of him. Letting him go off track a few times, but I'm pretty sure it's lag. Oh, that's a big lag skip. Oh, and almost just gets over here. So Zero has rejoined the session. Well, no, and disconnected again, so he's still having some issues. There we have conclusion of race 1 for round 2. So we have Sami at the top of the podium taking first place. Also on the podium is D-Train in second and Coco Dog in third. Congratulations to those guys. The rest of the field we have Philly in 4, followed by Mick, Dirty, Gallon, Kaka, T-Rex, Pretzelnator, Simo, Rooney, Doggy Daddy, and Corby. And so we had a retirement by Corby after that issue, so he didn't actually disconnect, but we did have a Zero disconnect. And then we'll just have a quick look to see the fastest lap time. So I think it's a 1:42.959 by the looks of things. I've got to scroll down. You'll be able to see the whole lot. Yes, it is also for Sami. So Sami scoring an extra 10 points for setting the fastest lap of the race. So don't forget, we will be in for the second session, so we'll be having about a 9-minute break, then we'll head into session 2, so there's 15 minutes of qualifying, then we've got the main race, which is worth the big points, there's 21 laps, and then we have a mandatory pit, so lots of action to come with what we've just seen out of the course of 11 laps, so stay tuned, we'll be back in a moment with some great V8 action. and welcome back for session 2. So we just saw Sami take a victory in race 1, doing a fantastic job at Monza, and also getting the fastest lap bonus points. So coming into the session, into session 2, now having the lead on the championship. So Rooney, who was leading only by 24 points, is now dropped back a fair bit after having a pretty bad luck result towards the end, with a very damaged car costing him more positions. And Azuro having the disconnect, he has made it back into the session for the second lot. Over into pit lane now. A bit of revving going on as the drivers are adjusting their setups. You'll hear a little bit of a rev. Usually see the car dip down as well. Drivers do have full custom setups for the series. They have full control over their cars, fuel loads, and they'll generally be running a qualifying setup. So usually close off all the radiator openings so that they can get a lot more speed to the car. However, they will need to remember to change that setting over before the race, otherwise they will end up with some critical damage as they'll start to cook that engine very quickly. Oh, Doggy Daddy straight off the mark getting a grid place penalty. I think he's taken 2 penalties actually. Yeah, 2 grid places, that's going to hurt. Not sure if that was potentially speeding first off, and he may have crossed the pit exit line as well following suit. DK for the controls. Underneath the stream there should be a sound control box. I'm not sure how it looks on some mobile devices. You can do the cheer, there's the applaud, and then that'll play the sound effect over the stream, and I'll be able to see that you've done it in the chat as well, so it doesn't cost you any bits to do those. I'm not sure with PS4 how it may work. So we got 15 cars back on the grid. Azuro has made it back in after a disconnect. Explaining he left some Wi-Fi devices on that decided to start using up the bandwidth. We did see him as he disconnected. He completely cut out and froze just after turn 1 chicane, where we saw D-Train take evasive action to get around the car, almost putting himself into a spin. He got out of that pretty lucky in the end. We have seen that happen a few times where it's really put off a driver if they've come around a blind corner and there's a stopped car in front of them, but the car is actually not stopped. It's D-Train getting up on 2 wheels then. May have. Oh, done it again. He doesn't take damage. He's going to possibly into the road of some traffic. As long as he doesn't take damage, it's not worth bringing the car back into the pits to start with cold tyres again. It's just good to get back out on track and keep driving. As every time they bring that car back into the pits, they're out for another lap that doesn't count. Plus the next lap usually not up to temp on those tyres just yet. When it's quite long lap times, when you've only got 15 minutes, you can't afford to bring that car into the pits too often. So we saw Sami qualify with 1:43. They did put him in a very good position for position 2. And then getting that good start over Azuro, who took pole position. Had him in a very good track position coming into turn 1, and then I think that's just what sealed the deal for him with the remainder of the race. So it may even play good to actually aim for position 2 in qualifying as well. If he can do a repeat to that, then he will be having 21 laps and a pit stop will come into it. And there's going to be a fair bit more traffic to start contending with the back markers. Oh, and Sami's gone off track as well. Getting a lot of things coming up saying invalidated track limits. Struggling with the car at the moment. So this lap isn't going to count for him. He hasn't got a time on the board. Oh, Bruni's come through with 1:43.447. The drivers do receive championship points for qualifying position. Taking pole is 25 points. Taking second is 23 points. Oh, Rooney having some issues. That's where we saw him go wrong in race 1. He has done pretty good with a 1:43.447 straight up. He just doesn't seem to be having a lot of luck. When there's not a whole lot of difference in championship points for qualifying position, you can start to sort of play with a little bit of strategy as to where you qualify. We'll up onto there. That's a common scene around that corner. Drivers are trying to make the most of that corner, get right up tight through the apex. As soon as you hit that bit of curb, it just launches that car. Pole setting time, and we have a 0.051 difference of Rooney's time. Billy's doing well, qualifying in 4th position. He's set a 1:43.9. So he's just less than half a second off current pole time. Just had Simo have his lap currently invalidated, and we're just seeing him bring that into the pits now as well. Probably taken damage as he's gone off. If you're only just joining us for the stream now and you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that follow button. Then you can be notified when we go live. We go live 7:30 PM Australian Standard Time on Thursday nights for Project Cars 2. Oh, very big slide for Philly, and fishes it into the next corner. That would have been a lot of fun. He's really pushing the limits of this car. And then we have started streaming on Monday nights, 7:30 PM, same time, just on the Monday nights, and that's with the iRacing. And that's with the V8 Supercars as well. So hitting that follow button, you'll be notified and being able to see a lot of... Ooh, Philly comes through with pole, 1:43.229. Yes, we do have a lot of V8 action going on at the moment. So now iRacing is a battle between Holden and Ford. It is only the Fords in Project Cars 2. We're running the ZB Commodore and the Mustang in our iRacing series. Sami manages to get in a 1:42. We didn't get to see him set that 1:42 in qualifying for race 1. A little bit of lag showing for him. A little bit of difference up towards the front, with Philly coming through with a blistering 1:43.229. And also Rooney with a 1:43.447. We had a 0 set pole. Oh, a bit slippery by Rooney. Dirty Monkey glitching a little bit there. And we had a 0 bump up into second position, so Philly's being pushed down to third. Rooney doesn't improve that lapse time. We saw him getting a little bit loose, so it wasn't his quickest lap. Coco currently in 6th. Coco doing very well with a podium finish in race 1. Be nice if he can follow through with a good result in race 2. Just where Coco Dog is in the championship, so he's currently, was after round 1 in 10th position. He had 90 points. D-Train was just ahead of him with 94 points. Drivers also making themselves familiar with pit lane, as it will be crucial to a good result in the race. So you can try and take the most of your time whilst in the pits. We have seen a lot of races lost by a slow pit stop. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? It is a lot quicker than the sprint pole. Sami's parked that car up. There's probably will have a chance to get a couple more laps in. Mick showing a bit of damage to his car. He must have been having a few dramas earlier on. Doggy Daddy is currently qualified 15th, and he's got those 2 track positions that he'll have applied heading into the race. He's parked that up, so that'll probably be him done for this session. Well, he's done well qualifying with 5th quickest time. And if you aren't familiar with our social media links, down below our Facebook page is where we post all our results, standings and race incident reports, so you can stay up to date with just how your favourite drivers are going. There's also links there if you want to try and get involved in any of our events. We're happy to have some drivers come across. And there's also our YouTube link down below, bit.ly Apex ESL. All our past broadcasts get saved there. So we can only keep 14 days worth of Twitch streams. So if you want to go back through and check out some of our drivers competing in some different series, they are all over there on YouTube. Nick's had his lap time invalidated. Oh, cheers, Nightmare, for subscribing to YouTube. That's great. Appreciate the support. I'm glad that we have grown our goal for Twitch, getting past our 100 follower mark. We're very happy with that. So we haven't checked out Dirty. He's doing well for 1:45, nearly flat. But he's only 2.8 seconds off of pole time. So that's still a very quick lap, but that's setting him down into 9th position. There's not much difference between all our drivers on the grid. It's spectacular to see. Oh, and DK, would that be top 5 time trial record? Not sure. I didn't pay attention to what it showed as we were looking at the track map just before we went into qualifying. Would be pretty good if it was close to that. We're starting to see some near world record times being set in qualifying. time trial mode for Project Cars for those who don't play the game or aren't familiar with time trial. It is actually set to 5 litres of fuel, and fuel, oh, it's a bit of bad luck for Sami. That'll be his session done. Time trial is set to perfect conditions, fuel doesn't change, tyres don't wear, and you start the lap all with warm brakes and tyres. So it's optimal conditions to get those times. So if we're starting to see some similar times to that within the races, when there's different weather conditions, there's debris on the track, running different fuel loads, that just shows you the calibre of our drivers that we're getting. It's fantastic to see. So that's qualifying complete. There's 123 seconds to go to do last laps. Oh, that's just cost Philly. It'll be Yellen wrapping up. I think he has crossed the line. Yes, he has. So he's qualified in 4th so far. Oh, big slide by Rooney. It is a fun section of track to get some slides through. If you can pull it off, flat stick down through there, you can get some good time. We saw Philly having a bit of fun through there early on in the qualifying. We're checked, so it looks like it is a top 5 time trial time. But that's amazing to see. So Rooney's taken 2nd. Very nice line for Corby. I think that's Simo's car just going out of focus on approach. It looks like he may be missing a bonnet. And he's missing the rear as well. He's taken a big hit. Bring him to the pits. Will Corby improve his time? He's got a 143.7 to beat. He does. He does a 143.2, so that's moved him up into 5th position. Don't know if there's enough time for Coco Dog to wrap up the lap. This could be. No, he won't have enough time to get around, I don't think. I think Kaka's just completed the session, maybe thinking he will have enough time. He's got 10 seconds to do it. Definitely not. That's some very tight times. Sami, well, we had Rooney in with a 142 as well, so that is very tight. I think it's still half a second. Yes, still half a second quicker is Sami. Sami almost broke the 141 mark. That's some spectacular driving. That is stupendously quick. Well done, Sami. Taking pole, so that's 25 points to go towards his championship lead now. If he can follow suit with the race, that's going to definitely be a good lead on the championship heading into round 3. So also starting from the front, we have Rooney, and then at 0, followed by Philly, Corby, Gallen, D-Train, Pretzelnator, Coco, Dirty Monkey, Terex, Simo Simsel, Kakadu, Mick Cliff, and Doggy Daddy. He does have 2 grid places, but that doesn't affect him as he's in 15th position. Over into the race now. Drivers will need to set up different race setups and also ensure they have a pit strategy set, as we have seen many a time where the strategy they thought was still set, because they usually set it as being the current active strategy in the qualifying, but then as you come across into the race, the game will actually show that it's set as your default, but it has actually usually reverted back just to the game's standard default setup, where they will just swap out your tyres just for a hard compound, change pressures, and possibly start throwing a fair bit of fuel into your car. But it is always good routine just to go in there and reset that strategy before you actually hit that ready button. He's going to have to get another very good jump so he can start to move over and hold that track position away from Rooney. Zero's also on the outside. That's almost more an advantage to be on that inside line for the start. If you can beat the outside driver to that apex, you're going to actually own the track position, and any incident that may occur there will actually be at the fault of that outside car. Here we go, ready to count down for the start of race 2. In round 2, Sami's nudging forward, so is Rooney. They're pushing the limits. Brilliant start by Sami, pulls away super quick. That's a huge lead already. He's going to be having all the track to himself heading into turn 1. Looks like we've lost a car. We've only got 14 on the field. Someone didn't hit ready. I think it's Kakadu. Usually does happen for Kaka. He usually is. I think it doesn't make the countdown. He's usually loading fuel up in the setup. Rooney's also gotten away to a very nice start. He's got a nice lead over Azuro. Philly and Midcliffe and Gallant. Ooh, a nudge by... Oh, that's D-Train, sorry. That's D-Train giving a shunt to Gallant. Gallant's kept his position. He almost actually assisted him in pushing him a fair bit up track. That could be some potential bad aero damage to the front of that car for D-Train. That's probably going to cost him a fair bit of time over the course of the first half of the race by the time he gets in the pits. He may wish to decide whether he heads in for an early pit if that is the case. Look at that, Sami's now nearly leading by 2 seconds. And he's only 3/4 of the way through the lap. 1.9, he's about to break 2, he's broken 2 seconds. Nothing stopping Sami. And Rooney is still pulling away from Azuro. Billy's starting to slip a little bit behind. Got about a second between him and Azuro. He may be able to sneak on through while Azuro is focusing on getting around Rooney. Yeah, that's right, as always, I think he's definitely been practicing his starts. Ooh, a little bit of slip coming out of turn 1. Can't afford to go for a spin just yet. I think Sami's pretty keen to see himself take a championship win. He's been so close many times. Put in a lot of commitment, a lot of hard work. Be great to be able to see him finally get there. Rooney, I'm not sure if he's just actually peeling away. Yeah, he's definitely much slower pace. That last lap was a 148.9 by Sami. Rooney and Azuro both in 151s. That is quick. He keeps pace up like that over the course of 21 laps. He's going to be well ahead, almost lapping potential other race leaders. So it's absolutely superb work for Sami. Philly is slowly catching. His pace was a little bit off. He's 2 seconds slower than Rooney and Azuro. Where are you? Sami's been to where is driving school? Where are you? Must be his coach tonight or his race engineer. He's doing a superb job. And you were doing a fantastic drive last week as well, Wira. Devastating to see that disconnect. Corby's looking to get up and around Coco Dog. also got Pretzelnader closing in on Simo Simzel. A couple of battles going on down towards the back of the field. Still, we'll have a battle to come for position 3 very soon. Philly will be very close to a 0 in no time. Yes, definitely Philly will be catching up now. Look at that last lap set. So 144.8 by Philly. 0 setting a 144.6 and Rooney a 144.7. He's definitely going to close in on these guys soon. The 0 definitely struggling to try and get into a position close enough behind Rooney to attempt at making a move. Look at that lead now by our race leader Sami. Now got a 4-second lead. Oh, that was a little bit of... You could hear him really back off that throttle. That was almost going to go into a slip. Whereas driving still costs millions. Yeah, that's why he's winning it. You'd wonder if you're spending that money. But it's definitely paying off. Well, that gap between Rooney and a 0 now has really closed in. Philly just off in the background there, a little bit offline. There was a fair bit of oversteer coming out of that corner. That's cost him a bit of time. He did start closing that gap in. Oh, Rooney's made a mistake as well. That's going to allow a 0 to get up along him. Rooney hasn't been having a whole lot of luck tonight. He's going to have to start looking to play defensive. Yeah, that's right. As an old Mick Cliff did get a good start. He usually tends to get away at the lights very good. We can usually tend to see Mick gain a couple of positions. Oh, Rooney, a little bit of steering correction mid-corner. You could just see a 0's car. You could see the nose dip and then rear back. So he was backing off on the throttle a little bit. He is coming through that corner a lot quicker than Rooney. The 0 gets around Rooney. A little bit of correction for Rooney. That's cost him some more time as well. Philly slipped back. He's now 4 seconds behind position 3. But he's got quicker pace than Rooney. So Rooney's last lap a 145.4. Philly a 145.3. He'll probably be able to get in the zone a little bit. He's got a bit of gap in between front and rear. As long as he can stay focused, not make too many errors, we'll see him up there having a crack at a podium spot. But Gallen is silently catching up. He still doesn't have the pace that Philly's putting down at the moment. But he's probably going to be in the same situation where he can just zone in and start to close a bit of position in. Simo's looking to get around Pretzelnader, a battle for 10th position. Very nice line by Simo. And the drivers trying to break stream. Been able to catch up enough. Check out the back, so it's currently in 14th position. Now it's got Danny in 13th position. Ooh, just up over that curb. D-Train, after having a good qualifying result, falling back down into 12th position. And Mick is closing in on Dirty Monkey. Dirty Monkey's just up ahead in the yellow car, number 29. Be able to see how he's steering. So Mick is doing this all from controller, and the V8 Supercar in this, even with a steering wheel, is a big handful to try and drive. And then he's very sensitive to steering, so when you are using the stick, it's very different. You can see very good steering control where you can just hold that car in that steering position. And kudos to Mick being able to do what he does all from the controller. And he is actually getting a steering wheel. He's treating himself. It'll be very interesting just to see where he starts coming. They're going to start seeing him at the top of the podium. See if he can land on the podium doing it from a controller. He's going to be a very strong contender. Look at that lead now, so we're in lap 7. Pami is leading by 7.5 seconds. We saw him leading by the end of lap 11 by 18 seconds. Yeah, that's right. You know, Mick's not the only one on controller. It's a Dirty Monkey. So both our controller drivers here. Oh no, he's got up on 2 wheels. That's cost him. He did make contact with Mick. He gets it back out on track. That's Corby just catching up. He's probably going to give him that position. A little bit of lag going by Corby as well. It was pretty good to get out of the way. So Dirty does very well on controller as well. Also see very similar, just as to being able to keep that steering in a good line without having to constantly correct the steering. Not sure what they do, if they tinker with settings or anything like that. You can see tiny little adjustments where he's having to correct it through, but that is some spectacular car control. I remember when first playing Project Cars 1, being told that it was an awesome game. I didn't have a steering wheel and I only had controller, and then I think after 15 minutes turned it off thinking, why did I buy this? This is just insane, especially after coming from playing games like Gran Turismo, which is so arcade and very suited to control. And then it wasn't until I got the wheel that made all the difference. So well done to our drivers who can give it to these guys all from the controller. Rooney's still trying to cover that ground back up to catch up to Azuro. Philly's dropped back by 6 seconds from our leading 3. And he's got a time second penalty as well. He's taken 1 second. We also have McCliff who's taken a second. And Simo Simsel's wearing 2 seconds. Sami is still pushing that race lead out. Now got that at 8.8 seconds. That is superb. Zero's really pulling away from Rooney now. He's got about 2 seconds over Rooney. Really pushing that out to 3 seconds. Have Pretzel looking to get around Corby. I'm not sure if Corby may have just gone past. We have Gallen battling it out with Philly. The last lap set, Gallen was half a second quicker than Philly. Not sure what's going on with Philly, whether he's struggling with car setup at the moment, whether the feel of the car just isn't quite the same as race one, whether the heavier fuel load may be playing. A few little steering corrections there as well. See, I'm not sure if he may have taken a little bit of a hit or something, if that car's just not performing how it should. Up on that curb. Oh, that's cost him. We've done the curse by jumping on. That's a big hit for Philly. We spun with him on board as well last time. I think he was definitely struggling a little bit with that car. I'm not sure if there was something going on with it. Oh, another big hit. I definitely think there was some car issues going on with Philly. Really seemed to be struggling with that car. It just was not performing like it was through qualifying and in those early laps. So he did drop off a fair bit of gap when he was closing in on Rooney and Azuro, so he may have taken a little bit of a hit when we weren't with him beforehand. And it may have been a similar situation to what we had with Rooney in race one. If you take that bit of a hit and try and weather out the damage, it can just continue to get worse. Philly should probably definitely pit now, so we're at the halfway point. He serves his mandatory pit now. Yes, he's just peeled off in the pits. It's Rooney also having a bit of bad luck. Zero taking that position off from him. And I think they just... I thought that was a Zero, but it's Doggy Daddy. I think they've just gotten around. So it's car number 16. Car number 15, so matching team colours. And that is something the drivers need to be aware of as well, is once they start heading into the pits, they could potentially be sharing the pit bay with their matching team colours. It's a pretty quick pit stop for Philly. I think that's Trex hooning on past now, so he just moves up in front of him. So Philly was battling it out there with a slightly damaged car. He's probably going to be in some pretty good form now. Tyres will be a little bit cold though, so he's going to have to be cautious on this out lap. Dirty showing a few scrapes as well. Along that left-hand side, that's where he bounced out across into Mick Cliff's car on this exact same corner several laps ago. Yeah, Philly's car seems to be really holding tight quite well now through the corner. You just have to move out of the way. He's kind of boxed in. Oh, we just nearly had, I don't know if there was a touch. Dirty got up on the 2. Almost using Philly as a wall to get around. Decimo's into the pits. Same as Rooney, he's served his mandatory. I'm not sure what strategy Sami may go for. Not looking to add fuel, he's running enough fuel to be able to finish the race. 54 litres currently. Running slightly heavier than what Ozuro's got. Maybe a few extra litres just to be sure. Or whether it could be looking just to keep that weight down so that once you start getting towards the home end of the race, the car doesn't start to becoming very light, flighty and potentially unpredictable. Especially if you are pushing it out to try and get as much out of those tyres, and those tyres start to come a little bit slippery towards the end. You You don't want that car to start being light. Oh, Azura is pitting in now as well. As you would see from past broadcasts, Azura usually pits at the very last moment. We saw last week, and this week he seems to be pitting in midway. But Azura seems to be able to get into a zone once he's out in front, where he just might as well stay out there as long as possible and not have to make his way back through any traffic. So we're just bringing up map details. So Kaka did disconnect. He probably did miss the start. It's probably just exit out. So he's probably watching the race. We've probably seen him jump on the stream potentially and watch the race. And Mick Cliff has moved up into third position. Rooney and Azuro has pit. We do need to see Sami, Gallen, Mick and Pretzel all pit in. Oh, big slip for Mick. Very nice line for Gallen. Oh, Sami is deciding to pit in now as well. So race leader's coming in. Will Gallen follow behind? Probably stay out for a lap. Try and put some gain over Sami. You hear Sami taking off. He's heading out. So he almost pulls out in front of Gallen. They're almost going to be side by side into turn one. He doesn't want to risk an incident here, as it's likely Gallen will be pitting in soon. Tyres are going to be slippery. You can see a little bit of slip coming out of there for Sami. Doesn't want to feel pressured here. Gallen goes for a much wider line. Sami gets along inside. He's going to just get up along, heading on into the second chicane. Gallen has to bring that car back over to hold that line, otherwise he would not make it through. Sami a little bit put off. It gets through nicely and takes back the race lead. Ooh, a little bit slippery. He doesn't want to fish it out into a spin and then get collected by Gallen. We have Pretzel back in third position. It's 19.7 seconds away from Sami. He's about 7 seconds behind him is Azuro. Azuro will reclaim that position back easily as he fits in. Yeah, that's right, DK, some good sportsmanship there by Gallen. Didn't get aggressive in a defensive line. Just a little bit of play. But it's also not worth running that risk. Not sure what's going on with Sami. He's back in the pits again. They must have changed tyres for him. So the pit stop could potentially have cost him the race. That's a good opportunity for Gallen now to really push out ahead. Pretzel now into the pits. Zero's pitted. He overtakes Sami. He's going to have 8 laps to try and catch this back up. Not sure what's going. As I mentioned at the start of the race before we got the green lights, that pit strategy, not having it set right, can cost you a race very easily. The game is great at having errors as it is. Sometimes it is good to double check, even triple check. I know plenty of times I have lost out on a great position because of a setting, and that's even after swear I've gone in and hit that button to reset it. So usually get in there and mash that button down, ensuring it is set. And then even on approach into the pits, you can bring up your in-car menu and actually adjust it on the fly as well. So as you're heading to pits, you can bring that up and just make sure it is correct. That'll be unfortunate if Sami misses out on the race win by having to pit 2 times. But as long as he still gets a podium finish, he's going to end up with some pretty good points. About to ensure he stays ahead for championship lead at the conclusion of round 2. Gallen does need to pit. I think we're seeing about 30 seconds being added on for a pit stop. Hey Weaven, thanks for joining us. Gallen did mention in the lobby beforehand, he wondered if you might have been watching the stream and we jumped on board with Gallen when he had a moment and spun out. As when you had the spin when we jumped on board with you for the race on Monday night. It was because Gallen asked if we could jump on board for a lap with you. Or he thought you might have been returning the favour. We have down towards the back, Simo Simsel starting to close in on Corby. We're seeing a lot of red on the position board. If you aren't aware, once there is a red number for their position, that means they're actually wearing a time-second penalty that will be applied post-race. Fair bit of spacing going on between drivers now. There's a few seconds between Pretzel and Terex. Pretzel misjudging that corner. Sami, he needs to recover some ground, so he's had 2 pit stops. He ended up pitting a couple of laps after he first served his mandatory pit. It looked like he had tyres changed, so they mustn't have changed out tyres. And it's likely the softs will be scrubbed out pretty hard around Monza. And for the game settings, tyre where is set to accelerated. We try to simulate it being a much longer race. Ooh, a little bit of a touch for Sami into D-Train. A little bit of a love tap at the back. Sami looking to try and get around and get back up towards the top. Yeah, it definitely is the jinx, Weaven. Everyone, oh, it's a touch. That could be a, oh, that is quite lucky. That was very tight. Almost cost badly for both of them. Sami rectifies that error back up for D-Train. He can't afford a penalty situation which could see him losing some points. Yeah, we have lost Philly now. Let's bring up. Doesn't look like he's disconnected. He may have retired, or it could be a DQ. If there's significant speeding in pits, it'll DQ and drop them out. Oh, big mistake by D-Train. Almost looks like Sami's pushing him through. That is tight. Sami ducks up alongside. These two are really fighting it out. Looks to go get up along inside on the final turn. This is going to be pretty dangerous. They are holding, gets around in time. I think D-Train has pit as well. Yeah, Philly hangs around. If he has retired, he'll still score points on the board. If it's a DQ, it will be nil points for him, or if he exits the session, it's the same as a disconnect, no points will be scored. He doesn't appear to have left. 0. 20 seconds behind Gallen, but Gallen hasn't pit. That could potentially mean Gallen will lose out position to 0. But we have Rooney quickly starting to close in. And Rooney was our championship leader coming into round 2. But a lot of bad luck in race 1 cost him a lot of positions. After being out towards the front, dropped down towards the back, taking on some damage and deciding to weather it out, only just causing him more dramas as the race went on. But he's doing well in the race that counts. Some big points up for grabs for the main race. It's 120 points for a win. Second place will score 108. Third is 96. And for Sami, fourth is still 88 points. And if he can get some extra bonus points by way of getting the fastest lap, that could be an opportunity to try and make up for losing out with that pit stop. So let's have a look. Best lap set, I think, is a 1:43.022, and that is set by Sami. So he won't be too many points off a race win if he can still maintain a good finish position, as well as maintain that fastest lap. Got Dirty and Coco starting to get close to each other. No, Coco just pulled away. Dirty not having a very good run through there. Pretzel is 4 seconds behind Dirty. We're on lap 18 of 21. 3 remain. We have Trex a couple of seconds behind Corby. We'll just bring those timings up. I want to see just how many time second penalties we've got. So Doggy Daddy's got 10 seconds. Simo has 5. T-Rex also 10. Pretzelnator has 7. And then Corby has 1. Bits. Where the rest of them is usually by cutting corner and not abiding the slowdown request. We did just see Pretzel lose a couple of spots. Sorry, just 1 spot. Trex managed to get around one. We're just checking out the time board. Notice in my race feed that's still frozen from our qualifying session, the Dirty Monkey actually did get a DQ in qualifying for a pit lane violation. So he must have quickly jumped out of the session and jumped back in to wipe that DQ, otherwise we wouldn't have seen him start the race. Allen doing well out in front. But a 0 is closing that gap in on him, and he does need to pit. Last lap set by a 0 at 1:44.2. Gallen set at 1:47, nearly flat, so a few seconds difference. Ooh, Pretzel's just gone for a spin. that's just allowed Simo to get around. Simo moves up into 11th position. And these guys feel him wearing the 10-second time penalties. Could potentially lose a position here when they're only a few seconds away from each other. So Simo and Terex is 9 seconds difference. We have Simo and Pretzel for 4 to 5 seconds difference. Rooney struggling to try and catch that ground up on Azuro. Azuro seems to be really putting down some quick laps. And then Sami is as well. Last lap set out there, the quickest was Sami, it's a 1:43. I think that may have just been the best lap again. I have to move back up. No, sorry, it was a 1:42.848 that was set by Sami. So that's almost qualifying time, and that was set quite some time ago. So that's while he still had some heavy fuel loads. So running much more fuel than he was in the qualifying session. So here comes our race leader Gallon, 350 heading into the pits now. Azuro is screaming up around the final turn. We'll see him take the race lead. He needs those points after a disconnect in race 1. Not getting disconnected in the race that counts towards the big points. Rooney is starting to get close in, but it is the final lap. Oh, he's not going to be getting close now. That's just cost him a second. He's just going to have to probably just stay put. Take it easy for the last lap. And then Sami has recovered well. It will be a spot on the podium. Gallon's back out on track. The final lap, Sami has done a brilliant recovery job from having to do a second pit stop and to still be able to get back out onto the podium. Oh no, this is going to cost him. He needs to get this car, oh lucky that turned around straight. He just needs to keep this car going for this lap. Got Gallon coming up behind him. He's got 5 seconds before. Hopefully the car's not too badly damaged. That's great as a normal. Some Fanatec stuff. Let us know how you go with it all. It'll be good to see you all set for the race on Monday. Zero giving a flash of the lights. He's on approach for the top of the podium. Final corner. Must be pretty happy with himself, already flicking those lights. We've only got 13 cars on the grid. Well done, Azuro, top of the podium. Rooney, second position. And very lucky for Sami, a spin on the last lap and 2 pit stops. Takes third. He hasn't got time to stop for a burnout, otherwise he will lose his spot because Gallon was coming flying up behind in 4th position. Well done. D-Train on approach through the last corner now. 1.5 minutes remaining to get the last laps done. He's going to try and slide it across the track. Mick crosses the line in 6th position. Well done to Mick. He's got a time second penalty, but I'm pretty sure it's only 1 second. It's more than enough time between him and Coco Dog. Well done to Coco in 7th position. Dirty Monkey crosses in 8th position. Corby in 9th. And then we've got a few drivers for the time second penalties. Will we see a position change by any of these drivers? Terex is coming up in 10th. Stays in 10th. 40 seconds remain. Simo crosses the line in 11th position. Goes for a slide across as well. Pretzel in 12th. And then we have the conclusion for round 2 the Apex Esports League V8 Supercar Championship. We have a 0-1-43 taking victory in the main race. Then also on the podium is Rooney in second position, and Sami, after leading for most of the race, having to do a second pit and a spin on the last lap, still manages to recover into third position, so getting on the podium. And it looks like he's taken the fastest lap points, so finishing in third position with the 10 extra points is pretty close to taking the same amount of points for a victory, so most likely will be in the lead for the championship coming into round 3. So be sure to check out our results and standings on our Facebook page afterwards. So the rest of the field, we have Gallon in 4, followed by D-Train, Mick, Coca Dog, Dirty Monkey, Corby, T-Rex, Simo, Pretzel, Doggy Daddy, and Philly Manili. So he did retire out, so he did 2 pit stops, so he took some more damage and then retired out on lap 12. So he does still retain some points out of the race, especially for this race, as it's worth some more points. So kudos for Millie for hanging around for that. He did have 11 seconds there, so he also did speed in the pits, copying that penalty, but of course the retiring not affecting anything. So next week we have same time, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. For round 3, we have Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya GP, so there's going to be some very fast action going on there. It's a fantastic fast track, and then with how these drivers have been going so far, there's some very fast corners with a few nice little technical areas that will see a lot of fancy passes going on and possibly a few incidents, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And also we will be broadcasting live our Logitech G Supercars Championship on Monday night, so if you're keen for some more V8 action, we'll be back on Monday night for that, same time, 7:30. So hopefully we can see a trackside for either of those. Sure to hit that follow button if you haven't done so yet, and thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.